I'm making this video as a description, demonstration, and possible solution to our race boat's split turning. Or a split turn is like a spin out, but it originates from the bow of the boat, not the stern, and it has can have sort of like fairly dramatic outcomes. Imagine a boat, if you're driving a boat fast and the rudder was at the front instead of the back. And you can imagine that it wouldn't take much of movement on the rudder at the front to send the bow into a really tight turn, which would it would only get tighter and tighter until you would spin out basically. So, and this is a bit of an issue in our V-bottom outboard runabout racing boats. They are spinning out and will split turning and bow steering, and it can have catastrophic results. And I guess there's a little bit of a lack of understanding of exactly what's going on and why some hulls are predisposed to this and others aren't. And of course, we race production boats, so generally speaking, it is what it is. And if you have a certain type of boat, it might be really, really competitive in one aspect, but it could, lying beneath the surface could be a monster waiting to bite you. So what we've got here is just an exaggerated hull. So it's got probably a larger dead rise forward than what would normally be the case, but it serves a purpose to explain what's happening. So the boat goes forward around a buoy and it's turning and it's laying over. Well, normally it's listing and it's in the turn. It's drifting outwards in the turn and it's coming around the turn towards me, turning to the right. So the drivers tend to know that you need to keep the bow up out of the above the surface of the water, otherwise bad things can happen. But bad things, unexpected circumstances can occur where, for whatever reason, the bow dips into the water, and sometimes it might dip into the water with a little bit of force, in which case it has momentum. And when the bow of one of these sharp bow boats or high dead rise boats dips into the water on the outside of the turn of the boat, and that's the outside of the turn, builds up against the outside surface of the hull like this, and the water on the inside drops off because it forms a wave, and the boat dips its bow in, and because it's listed, this action has the result of pushing the bow that way, or causing the bow to move that way at a it moves. What it actually does is it slows the bow down, and the stern comes out of it, and it just forms a rudder-like situation where the bow of the boat hooks in, and you end up with a turn that looks like that. Okay, the water can't flow under here because it's just the physics of it, the geometry of it don't allow it, so it goes up the side of the boat, right? So now here it is over here. So what you really want is a boat that the water, when the boat's drifting laterally out on the turn, which is going sideways out as well as turning around to the right, the water's able to flow under the boat. And to do that, you need lift forward. You need lift somewhere forward from the driver forward. You need to keep the bow up out of the water. See, over here, this boat here doesn't really have any lift forward to hold the front, the bow section of the boat up, whereas a boat that has more lift forward will naturally not dip its bow, or be less inclined to dip its bow deep into the water forward in a turn, so the water's able to always go under it relatively. So what I'm going to do is move outside to an actual boat and have a look at what can possibly be done to mitigate this. And I'm not into editing a video, so I'm just going to walk this thing out so I don't have to stop it. Over my dangerous lead on the ground. Okay, so here we've got a boat. It's not one of the really bad ones. When I say bad ones, it's not a boat that's in circuit racing that's really causing any sort of concern. This is not a circuit race boat, but it's a really similar boat to what, in terms of its bow entry, that we're seeing the problems with. And this boat will do the same thing. It's just that there's less of them and we don't see it so much because they're not racing with us. But you've got a really fine entry and there's no lift forward. There's very little lift. This is the unmodified. This side's being modified. This side is factory. It's very steep angle and there's very little lift forward, and not only at the entry, But probably the most critical part of all this is about under the driver. There's no the pad on this boat standard tapers to be quite narrow up forward here before it goes into the entry V. It's wide at the back, down, and it tapers. So overall, the lift of this hull in the water diminishes forward, and so when the bow goes down, there's nothing here to support. This is sort of just forward of midships. There's nothing here to support the hull, and it just dives into the water. And if you're in a turn, that's catastrophic. So what you do is you widen the pad forward. So the driver's probably around about here, right? So you give the boat support and lift here. And if you do that, obviously you have to follow that through. That you can't just stop the lift there. You can't stop it straight there or a pad. You actually have to feather it out forward. And the same with this little one here. They've got to go forward. So the answer really is to provide more lift under the seat of the driver and forward. Okay, so these help it. These definitely help. They help the water. They help the water flow over rather than come up the side of the hull, and as we said, inside. But the real problem is here. And the one boat that's a bit of a concern is the 1750 Bullet, and it's exactly the same. It's worse actually. The pad tapers really significantly to a point under the driver where it vanishes to a point, and then you go into the sharp entry V. There's no lift there forward, and I'm a bit over seeing these things crash. Someone will eventually die, and that will stuff it up for all of us. So this boat here is an experimental modification, basically to demonstrate the theory of these boats. So this boat, when it's finished, will go out onto the lake, and it'll be put through its paces, and it'll be probably about 60-70 miles an hour. We'll try and split turn it, and we'll see, and we'll have our crash helmets on and our padded life jackets, and see what happens. But I'm pretty sure that the problem will all but vanish.